Welcome back to our podcast, everyone, for this week.
John, do we have a sponsor this week?
Yeah,
Give us
first
a
word
dark
from our
company
sponsors.
voice.
This podcast is brought to you by the Blazer Pub. It's best bar and burgers in Somers, New York, my hometown.
Nice.
Thank you.
We got the gang back together this week. All three of us, and we had a pretty exciting week. Matt, what do you think the most exciting thing we did this week was?
A lot of neat stuff, but the coolest one was hanging out with Stacy Smedley on Zoom and talking about carbon footprint.
Yeah. So John, in 5 minutes or less, is going to give us kind of a rundown of why this is important and what we're doing to try to calculate the carbon footprint of the homes at Veridian and be able to compare them to conventional homes.
Yeah, because it's not just what homes use; it's like what we put into it, the products we choose, right, John?
Yeah. So that the difference, what Matt's alluding to, is the difference between operational and embodied carbon. Obviously, in the sustainability world, solar panels and wind power and all those things are kind of labeled as the solution for sustainability in general, but that's really just a solution for operational carbon.
How do people know? Like we talked about nutrition facts, right? We got these, you pull up anything out of your cabinet, you got a little nutrition fact on there. A couple tablespoons of this or is 200 calories and how much protein. You got everything's on here, right?
Right. So I mean, you can equate it to exactly like food is the best way to describe it, because you can choose between a high sugary cereal versus a healthy cereal. You have universal labels like organic, but when we go out to buy concrete and rebar, there is no organic concrete, right? So what is becoming available on the market, and this is something that my old colleagues at Skanska were kind of piloting, was environmental product declarations. It's a long name, also referred to as EPDs. These EPDs look just like a nutrition fact label, and you can see it has a whole bunch of different environmental impacts. So when you are consuming materials, this is what the impact is for what we call from cradle to gate. So it's from the second that the product is being mined, the raw materials. Those raw materials are being transported to a manufacturing facility and then manipulated and turned into a finished product. For this example, we're talking about ready-mix concrete. And then so that's everything from the cradle.
It's not just concrete, John, right? It's like anything. So like if we want to have wood countertops versus
wood, rebar,
granite countertops, right? It's going to have a different kind of, I mean, just like this stuff, if you have, vanilla or natural flavoring, I swear, guys, this is true, but the FDA has certified the gland of beaver anus as a natural flavor, which is what is used to make artificial vanilla flavoring.
And
so,
we never have
we're not going to have any beaver anus glandular fluids to make an artificial countertop for you. So how do we avoid the beaver anus equivalent in
Thank you for the interruption, Matt. That was extremely strange aside. I'm gonna keep going with the technical stuff here, and we'll get into the numbers.
I'll let you be an engineer. Go ahead.
Thank you. So you can see here, you look at this like your calories and whatnot. You have your serving size, which is 1 cubic meter. So for 1 cubic meter of cast in place concrete, it's going to have 349 kilograms of CO2 equivalent. So that is an extremely high number. Anything over 300 is relatively high. You want to get kind of closer to the 200 range. And there's other admixtures that you can put in to reduce that. Ideally, you're focusing on trying to reduce the cement content.
So it looks like every product that we're going to be looking at, John, we're going to try to get one of these EPDMs, right? So we're going to have everything from our siding, our lumber package, our concrete, our roofing material, solar panels, our countertops. Everything in there is going to have this. Tell us about your idea to have this. We're going to give everybody one of these nutrition labels, so you know exactly what's in it without any natural flavorings, and we know what's in the natural flavorings.
Yeah. So obviously, when you're thinking about an entire home, there's a lot of different products that go into it. And it becomes really cumbersome to, gather all these PDF files and calculate everything by hand. So Stacy Smedley and Building Transparency, they created a really nifty tool to help streamline the process. They worked with Microsoft to actually be able to read the PDF files and turn it into a searchable format, which looks something like this. So here you are, 2300 Trillium Lane. This is your house. We have a Revit model that got uploaded into the EC3 calculator, embodied carbon for construction calculator, EC3. And then if you scroll down, you can see all the different components of the home. This is everything cradle to grate, A1 to A3. Then you have the transport to the construction site from the gate of the concrete plant. And then you also have the actual construction, all the equipment and carbon emissions that we'd be burning to install these materials. So fully, what we're looking at is not necessarily a cradle to grave analogy, but cradle to grave, which is essentially through the useful life of the home.
Yeah, and hopefully in really good situations that we're trying to do things like cradle to cradle. So we'll be able to have
designing
wood countertop will come from a local sawyer from salvaged wood material that will create into new countertops. And 150 years from now, your great-great-grandchildren, when that's just no longer useful, can then put it, you bury it in the ground as compost. They can chip it, they can mulch it. It's an organic material that goes right back into the soil and becomes beneficial rather than something that's wasted. So
my timer just went off,
stuff.
guys.
Yeah.
Means we are out of time. Thank you to our sponsors. I do want to note 2300 Trillium Lane is not a real address, so I don't want to confuse anybody. Greenway Trail. It's Greenway Trail.
Oh.
Oh, good. Nothing's a real address yet.
All right. Well, that's great, John. I love you for spearheading this effort, and Stacy Smedley for her amazing work in this. This is so much easier than it was even 2 years ago, and getting better every single day. We're really getting to know what's in people's houses. And what's awesome is we're going to be able to compare this to if you went out and you bought a conventional built home, what would the carbon impact of just buying the home be? And how many years would it take to gain that back, even if you were net zero energy? So it's really neat stuff for people. And
I know we're over time, but I just really want to preface, we talk so much about sustainability as the operational carbon aspect, but really you're talking like a 30-year impact from the point of the home is delivered to the homeowner. So, even if you're net zero, you'd have to be net positive essentially for 30 years to offset the huge carbon impact. So what we're going to hopefully be able to deliver using EC3 is a full analysis of, the entire embodied carbon of the home, and then what the operational energy is going to look like, which is going to be close to nothing.
Yeah.
So
the neighborhood too, right? Even our roads, we're not using concrete in the roads to avoid some of that carbon. So
deciding
developers are even doing this. I mean, this is fascinating.
Yep. Yeah, this is something, again, Skanska is doing on a very high, civil infrastructure level, working directly with, the federal government, trying to get this incentivized through the IRA and buy clean, different initiatives in California, Washington. But this is right off the shelf, so to speak. Think about 1930s, you're going down the grocery aisle trying to buy a box of cereal. There are no nutrition labels. That's what the market looks like right now, but it's this emerging aspect of these EPDs that help us make more carbon conscious and environmentally conscious decisions during our procurement, which is huge, and it's going to make a huge difference with the carbon footprint of these homes. And
awesome
to be part of that.
Proud of our work.
Yeah.
All right, we're at 10 minutes, Sarah. We suck.
Thank you, Blazer Bob.
There's some podcasts I listen to that are like 3 hours, and it's like, how do you talk for that long?
Yeah, this is how you do it. So we should change the name now to the 10-minute, 5-minute podcasts.
That's right.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Next week.
Bye, everyone.